Now then, how you doing? I hope you're well. On a recent hiking trip to see some rocks, I stumbled across a fantastic old 18th century barn simply begging to be painted. All of which is a reminder to be aware of your surroundings and try as much as possible to be open to the potential of unexpected subjects. Be prepared to be surprised. I've returned to Wycoller Country Park in Bronte Country. Good locations are always worth revisiting. They look different at different times of the year and in varying weather conditions, and of course there are always new things to discover. I should add that Wycoller is relatively local to me, and since a planned visit to another location was scuppered due to road closures, this seemed like a good last-minute alternative. It was an opportunity to take another look at the old ancient stone walls, and the walk down into the village is always pleasing. On this occasion we were in the middle of a summer heatwave, so while the trees were bursting with green, the vegetation did feel like it was wilting somewhat, desperate for rain. Well, by all accounts, Charlotte Bronte was a regular visitor to Wycoller Hall, and even though it now stands in ruins, it's easy to see how it might have been the inspiration for Ferndean Manor in her novel Jane Eyre. I always enjoy checking out the three ancient bridges that cross over Wycoller Beck. The wonky Packhorse Bridge is probably the most famous of the three, with its association with the railway children, whilst Clapper Bridge, also known as the Druids Bridge, looks solid and provides easy access to local footpaths. This willow tunnel is a living sculpture, one of many in the area, and great fun to walk through, and leads me to my final ancient bridge, known as Clam Bridge, which consists of nothing more than a single 12-foot long gritstone slab. Today, though, the delights of Wycoller Village are but a stepping stone to my primary objective. Footpaths lead me away from the beck and up the hill towards Flake Hill Moor, where these wonderful crouching rocks stand guard over the valley below. And it's here on the high rolling moor where the sheep graze and lone trees stand proud against the elements that I stumbled across Bank House Barn and was instantly smitten. According to a site survey by Pendle Archaeological Group, the barn probably dates back to around 1775. Quite old then, but an interesting group of buildings in a spectacular location, and from the moment I saw it, I knew I would simply have to paint it. Softening off the dark tone in doorways with a damp brush can help to give them a little more visual interest and authenticity than simply painting them as a flat, dark shape. The same concept applies to windows. In this case, the building is very old and abandoned, so dark, flat, lifeless windows are perfectly in keeping with the vibe of the scene. For the stonework, I've mixed up some burnt umber, slightly toned down by a small amount of French ultramarine, and I'm applying it to the surface of the building in the form of individual stone shapes, but then I'm randomly softening some of those marks off with a damp brush to give them more of a loose, sporadic appearance. The trick is to try and offer enough visual information to explain the construction of the building without cluttering it up with too much information. Well, from a viewer's point of view, it is always better to be given a selection of details that may even be a little ambiguous and require interpretation. This generates interest in the mind of the viewer, which basically means their brain actually has to do a little bit of work to understand what it is they're looking at. Such an occurrence makes a painting more attractive to the viewer, despite the fact that they probably don't even realise it. It all boils down to the often overused but very true phrase, less is more. Which details to add and which to leave out is always a surprisingly big decision. Essentially comes down to personal choice. What one artist puts in, another might leave out or not even notice that detail at all. In the end, it is individual interpretation that makes art so interesting. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, then you know the drill. please do hit the like button. It really does make a difference. And if you'd like to see more, why not become a studio member of my YouTube channel? With that, you'll get instant access to the full-length, non-time-lapsed version of the demonstration, from which this has just been a very small extract, along with what has become a bursting back catalogue of full-length demonstrations and tutorials. To subscribe, just hit that join button. There are other sign-up options also available, such as my online tuition service. If you're interested, you'll find full details in the video description below. So that's that. Until next time, do take care.